Okay, Dr. Zane again. This is part two. I want to continue reviewing the functional assessment interview form that's posted for this week two medical assessment. Obviously, this entire form is not focusing on medical and physiological issues, but it does have that one section, and also I'm reviewing it so you're a bit more familiar with it because you'll be using this um, as a major device for your indirect assessment. So at the bottom of page 4, the second to the last question on the bottom here, describe something that you could do or say that almost always results in the problem behavior. So again, we're looking at, can the respondent identify context and specific antecedents that evoke the behavior? The purpose of this is to uh, identify variables that could lead to a function. Then we ask the respondent to describe what the person will do in the following situations: completing a task, a highly preferred activity naturally ends or is interrupted, sudden change. You can get a sense of what these questions are about. They're all tied to different functions, right? Completing a difficult task, if the answer is freaks out, could be demand. Highly preferred activity naturally ends or is interrupted. If there's no evidence of a problem behavior when this situation occurs, then it may not be tangible. Same thing with the schedule. Same thing with preferred activity, a manding issue, being left alone, and so forth. So you get a sense of what that's about. Good, useful information. Identify the consequences or outcomes of the problem behaviors. Here it's kind of like the respondent's own version of an ABC analysis, not direct observation based. Keep that in mind. It's not the same as a direct assessment, but we're getting the respondent's opinion about what's happening. And again, if you were to give this to two people who independently complete it, who know the target student well, then maybe you'll get some IOA here. So we have the problem behavior, the routine. What that means is, what is the routine that in which the problem behavior occurs, and can the respondent identify what the target person obtains from exhibiting the problem behavior in that routine, or what the person escapes or avoids. So I think you can see how this works. For example, the routine might be working at the store and the boss asks him to do something, but then the problem behavior is a tantrum. What does the person obtain? Really nothing. What does the person escape? Doing the task. Same sort of thing. And then we ask the same questions about positive behavior. Again, we're trying to clarify exactly what appropriate behaviors there are and when they occur, so we could strengthen the occurrence of those. Then we talk about how much effort it takes to engage in each of the problem and positive behaviors. Physical effort, how long the behavior occurs before it's reinforced, and how long the person has to wait to get the reinforcer. Now, if you haven't read the O'Neill book, you will this semester, and if you have read it, you remember the discussion about efficiency and effort level of the behavior. The general point here is, if you can select an appropriate behavior to replace the problem behavior, and that appropriate behavior is more efficient to getting the reinforcer, involves less effort to get the reinforcer, then the person will shift to that response to get the reinforcer rather than engage in a more effortful, a less efficient problem behavior. Here's a quick example. I worked with a girl once who was nonverbal. She would bang her head, awful head banger. Upon observation, we noticed it was so clear anybody could have figured this out. She'd bang her head and she'd get food to stop her temporarily from banging. All right? So we attached a red laminated card to her belt by a string and physically prompted her to hold up the card. The first several times we prompted that, we made sure that food was delivered, and she quickly shifted over to holding up the card. Why? Holding up a card was less effort than smashing one's head against the table, and it was more efficient. We made sure that every time the card was held up, she immediately got food. If she attended to bang her head, it would be several seconds before she got food. That made card raising more efficient, okay? And we made sure that every time she held up her card, she got food. Every time she banged her head, she did not get food. Sometimes we'd simply stop her, prevent the banging, and then make her sit down. Get the sense? You'll read that section in O'Neill. Very, very important section in my opinion. You need to build those features into any replacement behavior you teach the student. And then we do the same thing for the positive behavior. Now to go on, what functional alternative behaviors does the person already know how to do? So again, we're looking at the fund of behaviors, the repertoires of appropriate behaviors, because we might be able to use these to build in replacement behaviors to the problems. So the communication, how does the person communicate? Very important section, because we can use any communicative abilities, be it PECS or a Dynavox type of device or an iPad or signs to have the person express whatever issue there is. For example, if the child aggresses to escape work, we can have the person sign to escape work. You get the idea there. So you want to fill out all these questions. Imitative abilities, to what extent does the person understand and respond to requests or instructions? And how does the person typically respond to yes or no? All good stuff, all helps us generate treatment. So that section is helping us generate the treatment plan. The next section, at the in the middle of page 7, describe things that you should do and that should be avoided when working with and supporting this person. So again, what can you do to increase the chances that the person works well? And what are the things you do to avoid interfering with or disrupting an event? Again, more information for us for answering 2 questions. What could the possible function be? And some possible ideas for setting up any treatment regime. All right. Then we get into potential reinforcers. We would use this information to plan positive reinforcement throughout the person's day. And then there's a section listing a history of interventions that have been tried. And then the very last section here, very important. So you gather all this respondent information, or well, yeah, you've gathered information from the respondents, but it's all opinion, right? It's all interview. But now we force you to set up the ABC analysis, okay, where you identify the routine or the setting event in which a particular antecedent occurs, which evokes the specific problem behavior, and the problem behavior achieves or results in a particular consequence maintaining the behavior. Okay? Now, so each row is one of the problem behaviors from page 1. Again, if some problem behaviors always occur together, they're like a functional response class. List them all in the same box. The consequence maintaining behavior, you can use words to describe exactly what the result is, such as remove a demand or stays outside longer. But you also need to specify one of the 4 functions: attention, escape, tangible, or automatic. Okay? This is what these last boxes here, this last section, is what you must produce, because then once you do your direct assessment data, and you'll do the same thing as these boxes, and you can start building very clear hypotheses, and you want to see if they match from indirect to direct to FA. Okay? So that's the form you'll fill out. This is the indirect assessment form. You can use the one in O'Neill, the functional assessment interview form. You can use this one that's been adapted. It doesn't matter. They're virtually the same. For the indirect, for the first draft hand-in, I think you'll go through page 3. Okay, you'll fill out page 3. So I hope this is helpful. Talk to you later. Bye.